Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first class of this new year on 1st of January. Wishing you all a very, very happy and a prosperous new year. My voice is getting echo, so I'm going to mute this. I think now it is okay. Okay, so a new year started, and in this year, you are going to get into 12th standard. It's a very important year for your life, and I hope and I pray that you use it properly. Good, good morning and happy New Year, Abhiram. And you just need to do simple things correctly. If you keep on doing those simple things, I am sure that you will be doing a lot better in the next year in which you have your exam, and that is the most important year of your life. This is also very important, and I hope that you carry on with the good work. Let us now begin today's class with a quick recap of what happened in the previous class. In the previous class, if you remember, we had done some questions on gravitational potential energy. In particular, we were concentrating on gravitational potential energy of enlarged or long bodies. And we had seen that if you want to find the gravitational potential energy of a rod or a chain, you have to look for a point which is, oh, wrong color, which is known as the center of mass. And we have to locate the point, we have to locate the center of mass of these bodies, and we need to find out how high the center of mass is from your reference point. And that gives us the potential energy of these elongated bodies. We had seen in most of the cases that we had seen that we require this point, which is known as the center of mass, which is your next chapter, is at the center of the body. It is not always so that the center of mass lies at the center of the body, but in cases of symmetry where everything is similar, this point will lie at the center of the body. We will be discussing a lot about this point, center of mass, in the next class. Right now, we only need to know that there is a point known as the center of mass. And in most of the cases, general cases, this point is going to be the center of the body if the body is symmetric. Now, we'll carry on in today's class, and what I will do is give you two short formulae from your sheet, and we will not be deriving these formulae because derivation of these formulae are of no use to us. What I have seen is that we can expect a question if the paper is very tough in your NEET. We can expect a question on this line. So in preparing for that question, I am going to give you these two formulae. I will also explain how these formulae are to be used. These formulae are for lifting up or a chain moving down a smooth surface. So you will draw the diagram, I will explain, and then you will just remember and write the formula, and you will remember it. Am I clear? Can I have some raise hand that we understand this? That we only need to remember this formula because there is nothing else that we can do here. There is nothing else that is important. As I always tell you, that I'll only tell you those things that are important to you. If the derivation is not important, it is not important. Okay, so here comes the first formula, and please remember this. Please write the heading. The heading goes like this: work done in pulling the chain against gravity. Work done in pulling the chain against gravity. Am I clear and audible, visible to all of you? Are you following me? Can you see the screen? Okay. So work done in pulling the chain against gravity. I'll first explain, then you will draw the diagram, and then you will write the formula. So what happens in this case? As you can see here, there is a chain, a long chain. Some part of the chain, as you can see, is hanging, and some part of the chain is on the horizontal table. The mass of this total chain is m, and the length of the total chain is L, which is given as indicated. Now, total length of the chain is L. Some part of it is hanging. 1 by n part of this chain is hanging. That means the hanging part, as you can see over here, is L by n. L by n is the part of the chain that is hanging. So now we are going to pull this chain up and bring the entire chain on the table. That is the work done that we need to find out. So what I would ask you is to draw this diagram. You don't have to draw the hand. It is not required. You just need to draw the diagram that the chain is kept. L by n part of the chain is hanging, and the rest of the part, that is L minus L by n, that part is on the horizontal surface. Mass of the entire chain is m, and length of the entire chain is L. Can you do that for me? I'll give you 2 minutes. Do that, and then we will be writing out this formula. What I'm going to do meanwhile is I'm going to enhance the diagram so that you can see the diagram on the bigger screen. So here is the enlarged view of the diagram that I wanted you to draw. Mass of the chain is m, length of the chain is L, hanging part is L by n. If n is 2, half is hanging, half is on the table. If L is 3, 1/3 is hanging, 2/3 is on the table. If L is 4, 1/4 is hanging, and 3/4 is on the table. I'll give you 2 minutes to do this. Have you all drawn the diagram? Can I have some raised hands from students in the class, online class as well as offline class? Have you drawn the diagram, bacha? Drawn the diagram? Okay. If you have drawn the diagram, it's a simple diagram. Draw a chain. Some part is hanging, some part is on the table. L by n part is hanging. Mass of the chain is M, length of the chain is capital L. If you've drawn this, then you simply need to write this formula. The work done in pulling this chain up, the work done Am I audible and visible, all of you? To all of you? I think I got disconnected. Okay, sorry for that. So, what I was telling you, if you have drawn the diagram, you just need to write this formula. W is mg L by 2n squared. That is the only formula that we require to remember. Chain is hanging. That is the only formula we need to remember. Chain is hanging. L by n part is hanging. The rest of the part is on the table. Can I have some raise hand that we have written the formula from the students in the online class as well as the offline class? Can I have some raise hands that we have written this formula? Okay. Now we shall move on to the second formula, and which is as important. See, bacha, if a question comes in this type of chain, it will be either this question or the other question. So if they come, you get 4 marks. If they don't come, well, they don't come. They are considered to be difficult questions, so the chances are quite less. But nevertheless, if they come, you should be able to score them. So write the next heading, and the next heading goes like this: velocity of the chain while leaving the table. With what velocity the chain leaves the table? Same diagram. Don't have to draw a different diagram. L by n part of the chain is hanging. Rest of the part is on the table. If n is 2, half is hanging, half is on the table. If n is 3, 1/3 is hanging, 2/3 is on the table. If n is 4, 1/4 is hanging, 3/4 is on the table. In the previous question, we were trying to pull it up, and we find out the work done. In the second case, the chain is held like this. Some part is hanging, some part is on the table, and I leave it. If I leave it, what happens? This chain will start to fall down. When the last link of the chain leaves the table, diagram number 2, it leaves the table, we have to find out the velocity. That is known as the velocity of the chain while leaving the table. So you have to draw this diagram, and you have to write the answer for the velocity of chain while leaving the table. To draw the diagram and write the heading, I'll give you 2 minutes. Well, I hope you have noted it down. Yes or no? On, online class, offline class, have you noted down the diagram? Same diagram? You don't have to draw the second diagram. Just have to write the initial condition. N part, 1 by n part is hanging and the rest is on the table. And you have to write the velocity of the chain while leaving the table. And this is the answer that you should write. The velocity of the chain when it leaves the table is given by this formula. V is equal to under root of GL into 1 minus 1 by n squared. And this formula comes right now. This is the formula that you need to write. Velocity of the chain is equal to root over GL into 1 minus 1 by n squared. Am I clear with this? Can I have some raised hands? That we understand this? The only thing you need to do is draw the diagram and remember the formula. How this formula is achieved is not required. Please note it down. Have you noted down the formula? Everyone? Online class, offline class? Can I have some raised hand that we have noted down? Okay. Now, since we have noted it down, we come to the most important heading of this chapter, mechanical energy. What is mechanical energy? Anyone has any idea what is mechanical energy? Online class, offline class? Are you able to hear me? What do you mean by mechanical energy? Mechanical energy. Yes, offline students, can you tell me what is mechanical energy? What is mechanical energy? Mechanical energy, you might not have heard the term. So this mechanical energy is nothing but the sum of potential energy plus kinetic energy. A body, which we are going to see in questions, will have two types of energies. One is potential energy because of its position. Most of the times, this potential energy would be either, I'll write it, either it will be spring potential energy in the form of spring, or it would be gravitational potential energy, or it could be both spring potential energy as well as gravitational potential energy. In the question that we will encounter, a body will have potential energy, whether it is spring or gravitational, and it would also be moving because we are studying motion. It would have kinetic energy. If I add these two things, the energy that I get is known as ME, that is mechanical energy. So the sum of kinetic energy and potential energy is known as mechanical energy. Am I clear? Can I have some raised hands that we understand this? Sum of potential energy and kinetic energy is known as mechanical energy. Can I have some raised hand that we understand this? Good. What about the offline students? I hope you understand this. Give you a minute to write it. Please write it. Sum of potential energy plus kinetic energy is known as mechanical energy. This potential energy can be of spring potential energy, or it could be of gravitational potential energy. Then kinetic energy is because of the motion of the body. You add this, you will get something known as mechanical energy. I hope you have written it. Mechanical energy. Now, since we have studied mechanical energy, we come to the most important aspect of this chapter, which is known as law of conservation of energy. Law of conservation of energy. Now, you must have read this law in your previous classes as well, lower classes, 7th standard, 9th standard. You must have heard this, must know this. What is law of conservation of energy? Can anyone tell me what is law of conservation of energy? Anyone, any idea what is law of conservation of energy? Law of conservation of energy. Are you following me, everyone? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Law of conservation of energy. Yes, Abhiram. Abhiram is exactly right. Exactly the right words, Abhiram. Well done. So this law of conservation of energy simply states that whatever energy we have in the universe, the entire universe, multiverses, universes, the entire universe, whatever energy we have, it remains same. It remains constant. It does not change. Energy cannot be created. We'll write this, and everyone knows this. Energy, and this is the first thing that we are learning in the new year. Energy can't be created or destroyed. You cannot create energy. You cannot destroy energy. Then what you can do, Abhiram? I cannot create energy. You cannot create energy. No one can create energy. No one can destroy energy. Then what you can do? Yes, you can only convert it. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be converted. It can only be converted from one form to another form. You cannot create energy on your own. You don't have the power to create energy. Not even God has. Probably God has. That is why He is God. You cannot destroy energy. You can only convert it from one form to another. And we see the examples in every day-to-day life. Right now, there is a bulb glowing over there. That is electrical energy. The bulb glows because of heat energy. It creates a lot of heat. Your everything that you see, your bike, your car, it is converting chemical energy into mechanical energy. Everywhere that you see a machine working, you are converting energy from one form to another. Then ultimately, the source of the entire energy that we found on Earth is related to sun. I'll give you a small example. Right now, I am speaking. I am spending some energy. From where is that energy coming? That energy is coming from the food that I'm eating. It could be coming from plants, trees, vegetables, or it could be coming from animals. I might be eating chicken, fish, and all those lovely things. Or I might be eating vegetables, fruits, milk. Now, vegetables or animals, let us take the example of anyone. Animals, if I say, if I'm eating a chicken, I'm getting energy from that chicken. Now, that chicken is eating something. It may be eating some sort of plants. So, it is getting energy from those plants. How are those plants getting energy? They are converting energy. Which energy? By the process of photosynthesis. They are converting solar energy into chemical energy. If you have a packet of biscuits, it's written how much energy is there. So plants are creating this energy by photosynthesis. In photosynthesis, they are converting solar energy into this chemical energy. Ultimately, we come to the sun. How is sun creating energy? So basically, what is happening inside the sun is two hydrogen are combining together to form helium, and they have a mass defect. And because of that mass defect, you must know Einstein's equation E is equal to mc squared. Because of that mass defect, energy is created. That energy sun is throwing at us, and we are using it in day-to-day life. We are just converting it from one form to another. Energy cannot be created, nor it can be destroyed. It can only be converted from one form to other. Can I have some raise hand that we understand this? Law of conservation of energy, and that we have written this. What is law of conservation of energy? Please raise your hands. My offline students, have we written this in the class, bacha? Waiting for your hands, waiting for your approval that you have noted down law of conservation of energy. I'll give you one more example while you are writing it. For example, two cars are colliding. You will say, sir, is energy conserved? When two cars are moving, they probably have kinetic energy. When they clash, you hear a big noise, sound energy. You might see some sparks coming out. A lot of heat is produced. The car gets very hot, heat energy. You see these sparkles coming out, light energy. So basically what is happening is this entire kinetic energy is getting converted into forms which we cannot use. Heat energy, light energy, sound energy. But energy always remains conserved. Whatever energy was before, the same energy remains after. It does not change. Have you written this, everyone in the class? Can I have some raise hands? That we have written this statement. I'm not getting response from the class. Please let me know. Abhiram has definitely written it. What about the others in the class? I hope you have written this. The next heading, and sometimes students get confused between the two. Don't get confused between the two. Now I'm writing a similar statement, which is known as law of, and you understand the difference. Law of conservation of mechanical energy. Now these two are completely different things. Remember, whatever happens, the energy of the universe remains constant. You cannot change the energy of the universe. Energy cannot be created, energy cannot be destroyed. It is only converted from one form to another. This is absolute reality. Nothing can change it, not even God. These are God made rules. The next thing is law of conservation of mechanical energy. Now remember, what is mechanical energy? Can anyone tell me what is mechanical energy? First of all, so that we separate it from that total energy. We separate it from the law of conservation of energy. So let us elaborate first on what is mechanical energy. What is mechanical energy? Anyone? You've seen it. What is mechanical energy? What is mechanical energy? What is mechanical energy? I hope I'm audible, visible to all of you. What is mechanical energy? Online class, offline class. What is mechanical energy? I'm not getting any response. Yes, Sabiram. It is the sum of potential energy plus kinetic energy. So we are only thinking of these two terms. We are not thinking of sound energy. We are not thinking of light energy. We are not thinking of solar energy, wind energy, tide energy, this energy, that energy. We are only concentrating on two: potential energy and kinetic energy. So this law is only for potential energy and kinetic energy. This is not the universal law of conservation of energy, where all energies are included. Only potential energy and kinetic energy. What happens, and this is the statement, in the absence of non-conservative forces, in the absence of non-conservative forces, And if only conservative forces are present, now remember, only conservative forces, when we talk about conservative forces, let me mark them with this. We're only talking about three forces that should be present. These three forces are gravitational force, spring force, and we are talking about electrostatic force. Electro will come in the next year in 12th standard. Spring and gravitational energy or forces will come in this class. When we talk about non-conservative forces, we are talking about forces like friction. That is all important. Friction and resistances. So I will mark these forces here. When we talk about non-conservative forces, so these forces should be absent. Friction and resistance. Any sort of resistance should be absent. It could be air friction, it could be viscosity. I hope you have heard about viscosity, liquid friction. All these frictional forces, opposing forces, resistive forces must be absent. They must be absent. The only forces that must be present are conservative forces. I hope this point is clear. So in the absence of non-conservative forces, and if only conservative forces are present, if only conservative forces are present, then the mechanical energy of the system, whatever be our system, remains constant. If only conservative forces are present and non-conservative forces are absent, the mechanical energy of the system remains constant. This statement is known as law of conservation of mechanical energy. So mechanical energy at point 1 will be equal to mechanical energy at point 2 will be equal to constant. This statement is an entirety known as law of conservation of mechanical energy. Do we understand this? Can I have some raised hand that we understand this? But remember, this is only possible if if non-conservative forces are absent. If they are present, then this formula or this concept is not applicable. Do we understand this? Can I have some reason that we understand this? I'll give you 2 minutes to write this. If only conservative forces are present, non-conservative forces are absent, the mechanical energy of the body remains constant. Mechanical energy at point 1 will be equal to mechanical energy at point 2, point 3, point 4, anywhere you go. So if I elaborate it further, kinetic energy at point 1 plus kinetic energy at point 2 initial what I'm writing, kinetic energy at point 1 plus potential energy at point 1 initial point would be equal to the sum of kinetic energy at point 2 plus potential energy at point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5. Everything remains constant. But remember, my bachcho, but remember that this is only valid when it is valid. Who will tell me when it is valid? When is this thing valid? Who will tell me this? When is this thing valid? 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 Abhiram, offline students, when does the law of conservation of mechanical energy hold? When can you apply this law? What should be the condition? Tell me the condition. What is the condition? What is the condition? What is the condition? Abhiram, there are no other energies. No, that is not the condition. The condition is simply non-conservative forces must be absent and only conservative forces must be present. Friction must not be there. Resistive forces must not be there. Viscous forces must not be there. If these forces are not there, only gravity is there, or spring force is there, or electrostatic force is there, only conservative forces are present, then your law of conservation of mechanical energy holds. Remember, law of conservation of energy is always valid, but law of conservation of mechanical energy is only valid if conservative forces are present and non-conservative forces are absent. Can I have some raised hand that we understand this? Can I have raised hand that we understand this? A very important condition, the most important condition is in yellow. Non-conservative forces are absent. There should not be any non-conservative force. If there is a non-conservative force, well, this law goes for a toss. This law goes for a toss. You cannot apply this law if friction is present. Please note this down. I hope you are noting this down, everyone. Give you 2 minutes to note it down. I hope you have noted this down, everyone. Everyone has noted this down. Please raise your hands. Everyone has noted this down? Okay. Now remember, I will write this down at important points. So note down these important points. Number one, it is only valid if non-conservative forces are absent. Don't forget this. It is only valid if non-conservative forces are absent. If there is no non-conservative force, this can be applied. Remember, it is derived from, when you derive this, it is derived from work energy theorem, work kinetic energy theorem. I can call it, it is the daughter theorem. Now, so I always use this term, mother and daughter. This is the daughter theorem. Why it is daughter theorem? Work energy theorem is the mother theorem. I always use this term, mother and daughter theorem. Why do I use this term, mother and daughter? Mother give birth to a daughter, obviously. So this law of conservation of mechanical energy is basically derived from work energy theorem. Work kinetic energy theorem can be applied everywhere. So that is the next point you have to write. Work energy theorem is applicable everywhere. Work kinetic energy theorem is applicable everywhere. Whether they are conservative forces, then you can apply it. If they are non-conservative forces, then you can apply it. If they are both present, then you can apply it. You can always apply work kinetic energy theorem. Work done by all forces is equal to change in kinetic energy. You can always apply that. But if you have this special condition that friction and all those things are absent, then you have two choices. Two choices. Please listen to me very carefully. If friction is absent, then you have two choices. Two choices. Choice number one, which is always there, is that you can solve the problem using work energy theorem. You can always do that. Always do that. Always do that. But now you have another choice. Since friction is absent, you have another more easy choice to apply law of conservation of mechanical energy. Now this choice only happens when you have friction absent. So if you have friction absent, non-conservative forces not present, instead of applying work energy theorem, which we have been doing since the very beginning, we will apply the daughter theorem. And who is the daughter? Who is the daughter? The daughter is law of conservation of mechanical energy. How do I write it? I write it like this. LOCME, LOCME. I write it like this, LOCME. L standing for law, O for of, C for conservation, M for mechanical, E for energy, LOCME. So we'll apply LOCME. We'll apply LOCME whenever we have non-conservative forces absent. We'll apply LOCME. If non-conservative forces are present, we'll apply WET, work energy theorem. You can always apply WET if you want, but if non-conservative forces are absent, we will apply LOCME. That is what I needed to convey in this class. What is law of conservation of energy? Energy cannot be created nor be destroyed. It can be only transferred from one form to another. It is always applicable. But then we have mechanical energy, which is the sum of kinetic energy and potential energy. It can only be applied when non-conservative forces are absent. This is all in today's class. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have any doubts, please come up to me. I'm always here. Else it is wrap from my end. Take care, and again wishing you a very, very happy new year. I hope this new year brings you a lot of hope, Lot of joy and please study hard. Take care. Goodbye and see you on Monday.